Boys Golf Club are excited.
So we say good evening to you and welcome to another edition of the Daily Wrap-Up Show on Kofifi FM 97.2. My name is James. You can call me the Honorable Seetelo. Driving this conversation with you and for you between the hours of 7 and 8, Monday to Thursday. This is now officially the second edition of the Daily Wrap-Up Show on your number one station where it all began. I'm driving this conversation with you, taking your views as well, making sure that you remain part of this conversation until the top of the hour, 8 o'clock. It is 31st October 2017. It is the last day, the month that has been dedicated to celebrating the life of Oliver Regional Tambo right here in South Africa. May his soul rest in peace. And of course, we'll always remember him for his contribution towards the liberation of this country. It has been a historic month. Definitely we'll still be celebrating him until the end of the year. So make sure that you stay tuned and also part of this conversation by sending us your views on 071 425 9577. That's our SMS and WhatsApp line. Also on Facebook, Kofifi FM 97.2. And by the way, you can also watch our show tonight live on our Facebook page. That is Kofifi Sophia TV. If you are not listening to the station right now, you are on social media. You can also watch that on our social media platforms and remain part of this conversation on 97.2 FM. My name is James, driving this show with you until the top of the hour, 8 o'clock. Now I'm going to start the show differently. So before introducing our guest in studio tonight, of course, I'm joined in studio tonight by Councillor Vasco da Gama. He's the Speaker of the City of Johannesburg Council. But before we get there, I must say that today has been a very interesting day. And I'm going to start with the Mayor of the City of Ekurhuleni. Now, earlier today, News 24, one of the media houses, spoke to our mayor out there in Ekurhuleni, Mayor Mzwandile Masina. Now, he said, if it happens that Cyril Ramaphosa, the current deputy president of the ANC and the current deputy president of the country, if it happens that he wins come December 2017 with the ANC elective conference, as the mayor of Ekurhuleni, he's going to resign because he said he will never serve under Cyril Ramaphosa. That's what he said while speaking to News 24 earlier today. Now, Ari, he will never serve under Deputy President Cyril Ramaphosa. Then you just wonder why won't he serve under Deputy President Ramaphosa? But we'll just leave that for another day. And also in Gauteng province still, earlier today we hear that the Department of Health in Gauteng has lost another case when it comes to medical negligence. Now, we heard yesterday that there's so many cases when it comes to the department really neglecting our people right here in Gauteng province. And we hear that so many people have been suing the Department of Health in Gauteng province. Now, if we thought maybe the issue here, SCD is maybe something new when it comes to the Department of Health in Gauteng facing controversy, well, definitely not. We hear that there's about 5,500 cases that are pending against the Department of Health in Gauteng, simply because patients in Gauteng or residents of Gauteng felt neglected by the Department of Health in Gauteng province. So there are so many things coming out of there, and we also hear that Mayor Mahlangu will definitely be, she agreed. Well, not that she had a choice anyway, but she'll definitely be also answering questions when it comes to the issue of SCD. I'm speaking about the former MEC of Health in Gauteng, Mayor Mahlangu. Now we hear that she'll definitely be subpoenaed to come and answer questions. We need answers in relation to so many people that we lost in South Africa. I mean, she, remember, was the MEC for Health in Gauteng when the project that started right in Gauteng to move about 1,712 patients out of their life SCD psychiatric homes into the NGOs. And you know that some of the NGOs were illegal, right? And yesterday we heard one of the NGO owners saying that, no, she knew that she was not qualified to look after mental illness patients, but she took a chance anyway. Now that's what she said yesterday. Quite disappointing that this is what we get from people who are actually given the responsibilities of taking care of the most vulnerable in the society, and they just do it for money, as we heard yesterday. So stay tuned. More of that is still coming right here on 97.2 FM and on different shows. It is 20 minutes after 7 o'clock, and let me just take this opportunity to welcome our guest in studio, Councillor Vasco da Gama, the Speaker of the City of Johannesburg Council. Mr. Speaker, thank you for joining us on Kofifi FM.
Good evening, James, and good evening to the Kofifi listeners in Kofifi land.
Thank you so much. Now, I know that on Wednesday you were here, Mr. Speaker, speaking about now service delivery in the City of Johannesburg. well, we are still speaking about service delivery in a way, but we're just speaking about maybe what community members can look forward to, what the city has done in relation to making sure that we realize service delivery in our different communities. Now, maybe I said that we are going to speak about IDP. Maybe one of the listeners out there will be wondering, what is IDP? Maybe for the benefit of our listeners.
The IDP, the long word for it is Integrated Development Plan. It's a plan that is developed through the Speaker's Office, in the sense that we go out to communities and ask them actually what the issues are in their wards that they would like the city to concentrate on. It could be football fields, it could be a tennis court, it could be further housing development, it could be a shopping center, a garage, anything that has got to do with the amount of services that people receive in an area. It could be speed humps at the school and a whole lot of other issues. But obviously we went earlier during this year. We also went through IDP sessions, and as you remember, there was a lot of controversy in those particular meetings, where you had huge amounts of people. For the first time in the city of Johannesburg, we in fact had over 8,000 to 9,000 people attending these sessions, and previously our figures stopped at around 3,000, which was well attended, in the sense that a lot of people came, contributed to that. The mayor and his team went back and they actually narrowed down the demands from communities, in the sense that they looked at the priorities. And I'll give an example of a priority. Let's say in this particular area, say Freedom Park versus an area in Senton. What would be more important? To ensure that you are able to put water there, toilets, and electricity. I think that would be regarded as a higher demand priority than putting up a speed hump somewhere in a stretch of road that actually doesn't even have pedestrians. I think those priorities are based on looking at that.
Now, when you speak about maybe the previous administration, or speaking about last year or the year before, and still focusing on the IDP, what do you think maybe the reason could be that people were not really participating enough in relation to IDP processes? Could it be that maybe our ward councillors or the city itself was not really consulting with community members, informing them of the importance of the IDP?
I think worldwide consultation, speaking on local radio stations like Kofifi FM, to inform people out there to participate within this, because it's their areas. Remember that the city does not know everything that happens throughout the city. We've got to be, there's got to be engagement with communities to find out exactly what their needs are. And through that process, you are then able to deal with the rest of the other issues. This time, we in fact are going back to communities. Yes, you've given your inputs. This is what the budget was. This is what we were able to give to communities, and these are the projects that are coming within the ward. In other words, the MMCs are coming out by themselves in the different regions and reporting back to communities. And obviously on that list you will then look at what is outstanding, because you might have something that is really urgent, and those things will then be prioritized, in the sense that the MMCs, the chairpersons of the different Section 79 committees, is going to chair these meetings, because it is an oversight function. The contact between communities and the city is in fact the Speaker's Office, and that's why we are hosting the mayor to report back to communities on the issues that people demanded. And that's why the MMCs will present, tell them exactly in this particular region, these are the projects that we've got, right? But at the same time, we will also be taking needs from the communities. We are coming back next year during March again to tell people Yes, we had a discussion. These were the issues. So there will be regular interaction with communities and consultation, and dependent on what the issues are within those communities, address them and ensure that communities know at all time, this is your money, this is what we've used, and this is how we've actually spent it throughout the city.
And of course, speaking about that, clearly we are saying that as a community member, as a listener of Kofifi FM 97.2, I am a stakeholder in relation to this.
Yes.
But beside community members, who else are the stakeholders in the IDP process?
It is community-based organizations. It could be churches, a group of churches. It could be a football association. It could be business people. It is wide. In other words, all communities that live within the boundaries of the city of Johannesburg have got a stake in there. As long as you are paying for your services and obviously contributing to the fiscus, because it's your money that we as politicians at the end of the day must be accountable to. And who are we accountable to? We are accountable to the community. And that's why it is quite important to report back to communities what we are doing with your money. Unlike sitting for 23 years and then you find out that some money was missing and stuff like that.
So it is definitely not political. It is not a political consultation. It is a consultation with stakeholders, and that include, of course, community members.
Exactly. No politics involved, and I hope that political parties will really behave themselves, not be rude, give ordinary community members a chance to ask their questions and interact with the city, so that we are able to really deal with the service delivery issues that is needed within the city.
Now, I know that you have been based in the city of Joburg, going to different communities, going to different regions.
Yes.
Of course,
we
consulting with community members in relation to this.
We basically started yesterday on the 30th. Today, there is 39 consultation processes throughout the city. Communities must remember there is 135 wards throughout the city, and basically comparing that to the PR councillors, you've also got 135 PR councillors, which combined is 270 councillors throughout the city. And obviously the PR councillors are appointed by political parties to represent them, especially in wards where they are not where they didn't win, and they are placed in those areas. So consultation must happen, obviously between councillors, but also we've narrowed down the number. In other words, we've clustered the different wards, 135 wards, and there is 39 clusters throughout the city. And consultation will obviously happen in the following. I've got the dates.
Okay, sure.
The dates were advertised in your local. If you look at your local Caxton papers, you will see there in some of the dailies, starting from Region A and ending with Region G. I'll try and give the dates today, just to bring the community up to date, that your consultations obviously started early at 6 o'clock. At Discovery Recreation Centre in Walker Avenue, Discovery. This one has started at 6 o'clock and obviously will end in another hour's time. So those people living in those particular areas can still go and participate. We encourage communities to go and participate and give your inputs at that level. And then the other one is at East Bank in Alexandra. It is happening. It also started at 6 o'clock. And this one is at the East Bank Hall, corner Springbok and Impala. So if they and these include the following wards: Ward 75, 76, 81, and 105. So all those people in those wards can go to the East Bank Hall, and you give your inputs there so that they are tabulated. You can also go into the Joburg website. It's Joburg at .org.za.
Yes.
Go into that website. I've also asked the office to put in an electronic form that you can fill in electronically and send your requests on that, so that when the final compilation happens, that yours is also included onto that. I can go through a few of the dates. In Region A, it would be in Ivory Park Community Hall on the 11th, on the 7th at the Rabridge Community Hall, on the 2nd at Halfway House Primary School, on the 10th, on the 12th, Diepsloot Youth Center, and then on the 16th, Judah Center, and this address is 51 Agnes Avenue. So people can go there.
Sure.
There's only two that starts at 10 o'clock, and those are both on Saturdays. It's the one at Ivory Park Hall. It starts at 10 o'clock, and the Diepsloot Youth start at 10 o'clock also, because it's a Saturday. But otherwise, the rest of them starts at 6 o'clock in the evening.
But we'll also move on to other regions. So if you're listening to the station for the first time right now, welcome to Kofifi FM 97.2, your community radio station where it all began. Coming to you live from the city of Johannesburg, 450 on Degas Road, the city led by our Mayor, Councillor Herman Mashaba. Gauteng Province, the province led by our Premier, David Makura. This station we call your number one station where it all began, your number one station with a difference. My name is James. In studio with me is Councillor Vasco da Gama, the Speaker of the City of Johannesburg Council. We are speaking about the IDP process, and of course the IDP is the Integrated Development Planning, and we are speaking about service delivery right here, speaking about local government, and that's where service delivery in a nutshell takes place. And we want you to remain part of this conversation by sending us your views 071-425-9577, and of course that's our SMS and WhatsApp line. On Facebook, very much active, Kofifi FM 97.2. As I mentioned earlier, you can also watch the show live on our Facebook page, that is Kofifi Sophia TV, and remain part of this conversation. Follow us on Twitter, send us your tweets at Kofifi FM _972. And this show we call the Daily Wrap-Up Show. We are inspiring greatness with about 27 minutes before 8 o'clock on your station where it will begin. Now, Councillor, we know that so many community members will, of course, want to know how much is going to be spent in their local communities. I mean, earlier this year, in May this year, we know that the city passed the budget under the new administration to make sure that community members are benefiting out of the budget that has been passed by the new administration. Are we getting there in relation to delivering services to our people?
Yes, we are slowly getting there. You will see that the city is starting to change slowly but surely. Remember, there was a lot of neglect and obviously a big backlog in all areas. Street lights, I think the potholes are coming to being repaired throughout the city. We are now dealing with road markings, repairing the roads properly in the sense that they are dug up, they are sealed properly so that when it rains, they don't switch off. And obviously the next issue is obviously to concentrate on street lights, ensuring that covers are there, your globes are lighting, and the poles in themselves are painted to ensure that you slowly start dealing with all these backlogs throughout the city. So yes, the money has been directed into the right direction to catch up with what has been neglected for a long time, but also at the same time starting to deal with the nagging housing issues in the city. And you'll hear every time the mayor talks, he will talk about turning the inner city into a construction site. You'll start seeing it happening. There is I think 3 or 4 buildings that I've noticed on my own that have been demolished completely flat. That's the ones that I saw, and are being redone completely. So at the same time, we are creating enough job opportunities so that people can start working. Those people that do work at construction sites, please go along. Go and have a look what is happening and starting to change within the city. This past week, last week, the mayor in fact released 14 buildings in the inner city to the private sector, and they are now going through a process tendering process, and obviously everybody was invited. All business people throughout the city of Johannesburg were invited to participate within this. And obviously in February, January, this coming year 2018, these buildings will then be allocated to the different people that have gone through the tendering process or either a bid process, and those bids will be announced to the community out there, and obviously the developers within those sites will start developing them to ensure that everybody is catered for, including RDP developments within those buildings, businesses and stuff like that. But at the same time, people have got an opportunity to go and work at these areas.
Okay.
I think those are the exciting things that are happening in the city, and it will spread out through the city of Johannesburg.
And of course, any questions, any comments that you might have for our speaker, Councillor Vasco da Gama, make sure that you send yours 071-425-9577. I'll also be taking your comments or your questions on our different social media platforms. Now, here's a comment here, Speaker. I'd like you to comment, if you can, to this one. This one is Seetelo Masiro. Please ask a Speaker what he has changed since taking office. Now, Council has collapsed twice under his watch. Now, last week there was a fight between ANC and EFF. What was the reason behind the fight? Lastly, can he lead Council where there's no disruptions? Barry, Councillor, you are failing when it comes to leading Council. Your response to that?
I think Seetelo Masiro was in council and he knows exactly what happened. I don't have to explain it here, but I'll explain it for him to recognize that the ANC is in disarray. They fight around each corner for anything that they can find, and they found an opposition that is quite willing to go toe-to-toe with them. And unfortunately, they are not interested in ensuring that the city is run properly, but to disrupt council and the program that we have started in 2016.
All right, so you hear that in relation to the collapsing of council here at the city of Joburg, Councillor Vasco da Gama, the speaker, has just replied to you, Mr. Masiro. Any questions? Maybe you might have another question, maybe not related to the one that Seetelo Masiro was asking, but also in relation to the IDP process, maybe something that you like clarity on in relation to the process here, IDP, or maybe how it is going to benefit you as one of the listeners listening to this station from not far from here, maybe in Florida, or maybe listening to the station from Newclear, Cathrada Park, listening to the station from Coronationville, Bosmont, Westbury. How is it going to benefit you as one of the community members? Make sure that you send us yours. Any questions, we'll definitely be welcoming them right here on the Daily Wrap-Up Show. I saw another question here, Speaker. I'll quickly want to go to that one. Now, Ibuakabu Freedom Park and some of the communities is right here in the city of Joburg, and I'd like you to respond to this one, if you can. Coming through from my brother there, Grant Regan's son. Now, the waste dumps in Terfontein, Eldorado Park, Freedom Park, Power Park, and Alexander Townships has been killing our people with its toxins for almost 2 decades now. Are there any plans, maybe from the city of Joburg, of course, to make sure that we rehabilitate these areas and then find more suitable farms away from communities to make sure that we store this waste? And he said that he has written a couple of times to the administration, giving them advice and even proposing ways of getting rid of the waste and at the same time generating electricity. Is there any political will from your side? Is there any political will? Is there any will from the new administration to make sure that they do things differently? So maybe it was not done properly so during the previous administration, but currently now, because we have the new government in the city of Joburg, is there any will from the city to make sure that we deal with this? And while responding to that, here's another one. There's still some problems when it comes to the billing issue in the city of Joburg. I know that we spoke about this many times. Are we scraping this problematic corrupt system rather? And that is a question coming through from my brother there, Grant Reganson. Are we ever going to move away from this corrupt billing system that we have actually in the city of Johannesburg?
Yeah. Starting with the last question on the billing. As if you remember, the mayor went on a campaign to ensure that the billing system is corrected within the city. And obviously, there used to be a lot of corruption within in the billing department. We are also trying to look at the issues that are inherent in this particular issue, which is basically your SEP system. For those that are politicians and listens to the radio, you would hear that there is a lot of corruption within SEP.
Sure.
And there was a lot of bribes around the issues around SEP. And the city of Johannesburg has been affected by all this. The system that we've got, you can't call SEP anymore.
Okay.
Because it had been interfered to in such a lot of different ways. But we have started in regularizing, ensuring that you have billing days where you are able to go and find out exactly what the problems are of people, set up a day where you come with your staff and actually go through each and every complaint that comes through. And also ensuring that Joburg Water, City Power, including your pick it up services, are able to visit on that same day that property and regularize the billing, including dealing with the long outstanding queries from communities where some of them even owes 500,000 up to 1 million, where we are also dealing with ensuring that we get rid of the debt for 3 years and start people clean on a clean sheet, where you are able then to make sure that people start paying on that. The other issue that you've raised around waste, especially within Alexandra and in Eldorado Park, yes, where it's quite near communities, the smell is terrible. We know that communities are complaining about that, but this is a dumping site that you can't move.
Okay. And
the city was quite poor in ensuring that you seal these dumping sites, but not only seal them. I know there's a particular problem in Eldorado Park at the moment where people are complaining about all the papers with the wind blowing to their houses, and their environment looks dirty, it's smelly, all those other things. The Section 79 on infrastructure and environment has been on an oversight to that particular dumping site, and the authorities are starting to work on a plan on how to seal these sites. But future waste is also an issue that we've got to deal with, and the solution that the caller has actually brought forward has been looked into, and it is being looked into. I remember 4 years ago or 5 years ago, we visited Germany, where Germany in fact gets rid of 95% of their waste through systems like the one that he described. And we are in fact going into the archives of the of council, looking at the documentation that shows us of the examples, because we don't have to go and do another oversight visit or go and have another trip to Germany to look at the solutions that are there.
And waste money.
Yeah, we're starting to look at what we've got and the examples that are given in South Africa. There is solutions in South Africa, and we're looking at those solutions to try and deal with future sites that will cause mountains and obviously make people sick.
And I'm sure that Grant Regenson, you have been answered by our speaker there, Councillor Vasco da Gama. Now, I must say that Grant is one of the authors in South Africa. And by the way, last year I know that he wrote a book about Mayor Winnie Madikizela Mandela, and then he wrote another one, quite controversial, another one in relation to the new leadership of the ANC this year in 2017. I'm looking forward to reading that book as well. So thank you, Grant, for sending us your views.
I'd also like to have a discussion with him.
Most definitely. All right, Grant, we'll definitely arrange that one. Now, here's another question coming through from Rory Sankotsizo. Now, Rory Sankotsizo is sending this comment rather on our Twitter at Kofifi FM _972, and listening to the station from Nuclear. Councillor Vasco da Gama. I know that you are familiar with Nuclear, Bosmont, Westbury, Coronationville. Now it says, in terms of economic growth and development programs, in Ward 82 to be specific, Ward 82 is of course led by our councillor there, Susan Stewart. Now saying that the last programs that were active in helping fight unemployment was EPWP and also CWP. Now, what are other active programs available, and how can we, as young people in the community, access them? More especially those who are unemployed at the moment, they also want to develop themselves. How can they access them if they are available?
I unfortunately on this particular issue cannot talk and speculate on what the city. I know that the city is busy with programs to try and assist not only students, but those that have finished their matric and is lying around at home, to ensure that there is programs to get them involved in what the city is doing and train them in different directions. And when the MMC on economic development is ready, I will get her on Kofifi FM to respond to some of the issues that we want to do. I think the mayor is quite strong on this particular issue. He wants to ensure that people are able to look after themselves and in fact get involved in business in the future. But also remember that the rebuild of the inner city, taking back the inner city, is going to contribute to a lot that the youth wants out there.
Because we need our community members to be employed in order for them to also pay for the services that are offered by or delivered by the city of Joburg. We need you to pay, community members. We need you to pay. If you can afford to pay, please do pay for services. As on Blifter, city of Joburg. Here's another one speaker saying that there's another issue, a baby that fell from the balcony of the flats in Nutle. Now, one of the community members says that you are very silent in relation to that. There is a comment coming through from Marilyn saying that you have not responded, or the city has not responded in relation to that issue. A baby that fell from the balcony. I'm not sure if you're familiar with this story, maybe?
I'm not familiar with it. It's the first time I hear about it.
Okay, so please do make sure that you send us, we'll just forward this message and let us know, maybe if you can, and let us know what really transpired there, what really happened that led to the baby falling from the balcony there. Marilyn, if you can, please let us know once again, and I'll make sure that the speaker does get the whole information in relation to that. But make sure that you send us your comments as well. You can still send us your comments on 071-425-9577, 071-425-9577. And this show we call the Daily Wrap-Up Show, coming to you live 7 to 8 on 97.2 FM. This station is about to say, station is a sa radio ya loago. And ke a itse gore Councillor Vasco, remember 2014 when we spoke to you for the first time in Westbury. And then all of a sudden, ke utlwa Councillor Vasco da Gama bua Setswana. So, I khona mo save. But thank you for staying with us on 97.2 FM.
Political issues.
A local ANC leader was shot dead as he was coming out from a meeting in the province of KwaZulu-Natal.
Constructive discussions.
Because if we are to succeed as a nation, we need to start believing in the power of human agency. We need to resurrect the idea that the choices we make, the actions we take matter.
Heated debates.
There is no young